If you have read the title of this episode, then there is probably somebody that is already on your mind right now. You know who I'm talking about. There is somebody on your team that you have known probably for weeks or even months just is not working out. This episode is going to talk about the real cost of keeping that person beyond just what their payroll cost is, because keeping an underperformer on your team can have catastrophic effects to the rest of your business. I have horror stories that I could share on keeping somebody on your team that you should have let go long, long ago. And so let's look at what that decision is actually costing you beyond just your finances. So, the reason why this matters is because this person doesn't just cost you money financially, they also cost you the morale of the rest of your team, and that can bleed into, service quality when they're talking with customers. I've seen it happen where somebody had a person on their team who was just really negative all the time and nobody wanted to be around her, and the clients that she was dealing with also didn't want to be around her, and so that put the business owner in a really tough spot because they're like, "Yes, maybe he did great work, but his attitude was just terrible." And so you really have to make a hard decision at that point because you can keep this person on your team because it's not fun to fire somebody. Nobody enjoys it. You can keep the person on your team, keep paying them, hope it gets better. Meanwhile, clients are dropping off. You're losing other team members who are really, really, really great because you're keeping this one on. Something you need to think about is if you are hesitating to let this person go, is what kind of message is it sending to the rest of your team? If you've got somebody on your team who is just outstanding and performs great, and you're like, I want this person to ride it out with me to the end, but they see that you've got this other person on your team who is just, maybe it's beyond they come in late. Maybe it's, they just bring negativity all around the office. They don't manage people like they should, whatever it is. Then the person that you would like to keep and ride into the sunset with, they're going to jump ship because they're like, why am I here? Why are they here getting paid the same that I am? And they're not pulling their weight like I am, but yet we're both on the team and I'm not getting anything extra for how well I'm doing. You need to think about that when you are keeping low performers on your team. And so the first cost of this person is like the obvious is their whatever their salary plus benefits is. That's what they are costing you, on pen to paper. But then there's also things that they are costing you that you can't really see on paper. Like one of the ones I just mentioned was how are they affecting the rest of your team? How are they affecting your client base? And so one thing I want you to think about is what I call the management tax, and that is your time as the manager that you are having to spend maybe like correcting this person or coaching this person that you could otherwise be, pouring into your other team or going out and getting new business, but you can't because you keep having to have one-on-one meetings with this person every week. That's not good. That's a waste of your time. Another thing we just talked about is the team impact. So, like I said a second ago, your high performers notice when there is somebody on the team that sucks. And think back to when, if you did have a job before you started your business, it's very good. It's very likely that you started your business for this reason. I did because I saw that other people who just did a terrible, terrible job were getting the same treatment. And I'm like, this isn't fair. Like, I could be doing this on my own. Don't do it to your team if it was especially if it was done to you, because you know how it feels. One bad hire on your team can literally cost you 2 or 3. I have seen it happen. It's happening right now with one of my clients. Um, you've got people who you really would have liked to keep into the end, but because you held on to this other person for too long, now they're gone. And so now you've gotta replace those people, and you've gotta figure out what you're gonna do about this person. I've heard it said before, and practice this or don't. I mean, it's up to you, but there is merit to this. The first time you think about firing somebody is probably the time where you should, because the first time it enters your mind, it's not going to leave your mind. Like, chances are you've arrived at this thought because there's been a repeated pattern of whatever performance you're not seeing. It's not like somebody on your team makes one mistake and you're like, you're fired. If that's the case, you don't need to be a business owner. But it's likely that there's somebody on your team that just for weeks or months now has not been pulling their weight, and God forbid years, and it has entered your head like, I need to let them go. That's when you need to do it, because if you keep that thought and you keep this team member on your team, it's going to bleed into resentment, and you may or may not realize it. Like, it might be on a subconscious level, but it's gonna make you resent them, and it's eventually gonna make you resent your business because you don't wanna go there every day and deal with this person. Nip it in the butt, your business will be better off. It's like pruning a rose bush. You got to cut things off, and it's uncomfortable, and everybody hates doing it. But it is so, so, so much less costly than keeping them on and letting them just erode your business from the inside out. So, if we think about this just from a financial aspect, there's four numbers I want you to run. The first one I mentioned a minute ago, which is what is their salary plus, their benefits and payroll taxes and that kind of thing. That's what they are the most obvious costing you. Number 2, what is their actual output worth? So, if they do like client facing work and you could remove them and have somebody else in their seat, think about how better off your clients would be. If they are doing, marketing work or IT or whatever it is for a client, they're bringing their bad attitude or whatever makes them a low performer, it's reflecting in the work, and your work reflects you as the business owner. So if you had somebody else in their seat, how much better off would your business be? How much better off would your clients be? The third one is how much of your time are they consuming? This is what I called a second ago the management tax. How often are you having to step aside and either correct this person or coach this person or, ask somebody else on the team to cover for them? That's bad. Okay. So I want you to think about that. How many hours are you spending on this person? And then finally, what is the risk to your team and to your clients if this continues? If you keep this person on for another month, another 6 months, which team members are likely to leave? Which clients are likely to leave? And then think about the bottom line impact to your business on that. That's what's going to happen. It is not going to get better. People that are very low performing, it's either because they, a personal thing where they just don't have work ethic, or it could be that they're in the wrong place. Like I've had people that have had to let low performers go because that knew them like outside of work, and that's kind of where the relationship began, that have felt really bad because 'cause they're like, "I know this person. I know I've seen their work before. I know they can do it, but it just happened that the seat you put them in is just not where they're meant to be." That's okay. It's a win-win situation at that point because chances are they don't really wanna be working there anyway, but they just don't really wanna come to you and have to quit because maybe they know you outside of work or, they're really nervous about it. Cut it off, let them go. I've seen that happen, and the person that was let go was way better off, and the business owner and the rest of the team were way better off. And then, it could be that you just hired somebody that has a terrible work ethic and you really can see that. But the good news is if that's the case, you can use this as a learning opportunity to be like, okay, now I know what patterns to look for when I am hiring future team members to see like that's not going to work or that's a red flag that maybe I didn't see before. So it's just a learning experience. But the bottom line is there are a lot of costs associated with a low performer beyond just the financial cost. It can cost you your team, it can cost you your clients, and eventually it can cost you your livelihood if you let it continue. Don't let it continue. Like I said, I have horror stories that I could share on what I have seen happen to businesses when people are not cut off. And then I have friends who own businesses that they've had to let go of like their brother or, a real sensitive relationship, but I could spend a whole other episode on hiring your family. But anyways, if you need help determining, like, I need to let somebody go and I really don't know how to do it, or I don't know what this person actually is costing me beyond their wage, reach out to me and I can help you figure that out. And I can show you how much better the business is going to be when you do finally decide that, okay, it's time. All right. See you guys next week.